More on the report and China's effect on climate change. I'm now joined from Beijing by one of the study's co-authors, Mr. Dabo Guan. He is actually the chair of the Climate Change Economics Department at the University of East Anglia in the United Kingdom. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica.
Well, let's start here with this numbers conversation. This number really sets the table for those Paris climate talks, and it says how much each country actually has contributed to climate change. So how does this impact the conversation in Paris?
Right. Our study is for the first time take the fuel quality into considerations when we completing the emission inventories. So China issued in 2011, China issued a large project which is 800 million yuan to invest 4,200 coal mines and then aggregate those, sample those coal mines into 600 different coal samples in terms, which is coal types, and to test the quality of the fuels. It's the first time any country in the world, for the first time, to conduct such comprehensive systematical survey for their fuel qualities.
Okay, so that's a little bit about the study, Mr. Guan, but tell us, looking forward, this information is pretty important when it comes to setting the table in Paris. How does it change the conversation that these big countries and big polluting countries are going to have there?
Yeah, but as previous, Liu Zhu was pointed out, our research doesn't change the fact China is still the largest emitter in the world, 2/3 of more than the U.S. annual emissions, and it doesn't suggest that China should do any less in terms of climate change effort. In fact, actually, it's putting China into a central position and a leadership role to leading the global South, which is the developing countries, to gain more emission accuracy or to have a more baseline to work with, because a more accurate baseline is crucial for any policy target to apply on. And our studies did suggest, overestimation from 2000 to 2013 was 2.9 gigatons of carbon, but that's the historical one. It doesn't say, in the future, China should have more carbon space, should more allocated to China. But given the inequality of the Chinese regional development, they would have a more, a flexible carbon target or climate target for the less developed regions.
So with respect to the commitments that were made in Beijing last year by both the United States and China, the Chinese pledging to cut emissions by 2030, is it going to take longer to get there because of this new information?
We did some estimations in terms to get the emission peak in 2030, which is when U.S. and then China announced the agreement in November last year. It's practically quite challenging, but it's possible and reasonable to meet. And they can benefit from several perspectives, from the efficiency gain, for example, and the renewable targets or the renewable effort China is making, which contribute, let's say, 20% of primary energy supply in the future, and plus roughly 10% from natural gas, which China trying to gasify major cities instead of the coal.
Right, right. What about the efforts that the Chinese government has already made on reducing pollution? 19,000 coal-fired power plants and construction sites either temporarily shut down or reduced ahead of the World War II victory over Japan. Is this something that could actually put a real dent in the emissions going forward in the nationwide?
Yeah, certainly. This, for this 70 years anniversary for the victory of the Second World War, is one of the events. It's basically this regional effort, but it's proved it's actually co-benefits. It's a win-win situation for both air pollution and carbon emissions, and to reduce to shut down the inefficient power plants or the steel production processes, and it would emits less air pollution. On the other hand, is actually saving the energy from the carbon perspective.
Okay.
So the air pollution control and climate change mitigation is one target. One thing the Chinese government is trying to do is trying to coordinate these two efforts together,
right.
avoiding double investment and double effort. Is trying to make it more reasonable and effective.
Okay, Mr. Guan, thank you so much for joining us with those insights on the Nature report about the reduction of China's emissions. We appreciate your time.